For decades, we've been told a story. A story designed to shape our beliefs about food and health. We were warned that animal fats would clog our arteries, raise our cholesterol, and send us to an early grave. Instead, we were told to replace them with vegetable oils, these so-called heart-healthy alternatives. And we believed it. We trusted the government health departments, the food industry, the heart associations, and even our own doctors. But what if I told you that this narrative isn't as clear-cut as they made it seem? What if the real story is one of corporate profit, bad science, and misguided policies? Let's take a step back. In the early 1900s, heart disease was rare. People cooked with butter, lard, and tallow, yet heart attacks were virtually unheard of. But then, a major shift happened. Large corporations realized they could take cheap, industrial oils like cottonseed, soybean, and corn oil, refine them, process them, and sell them as food. One of the first to do this was Procter & Gamble, the company that introduced Crisco, an artificial alternative to lard made from hydrogenated vegetable oil. And once they saw how profitable it was, other companies followed. The industrial seed oil market was born. But there was a problem: how do you convince people to abandon the fats they've used for generations? Enter Ansel Keys, the scientist behind the diet heart hypothesis, which linked saturated fat to heart disease. But here's the issue: his research was flawed and selectively presented. He left out data that didn't fit his theory. And yet, this one idea shaped decades of dietary advice. Soon, government agencies started pushing low-fat diets. The American Heart Association, which had once been a small organization, began receiving large corporate donations. And suddenly, the message was everywhere: saturated fat is bad. Vegetable oil is good. But here's what we now know: this advice had unintended consequences. As natural fats disappeared from our diets, something alarming happened. Rates of heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, and other chronic illnesses skyrocketed. Instead of making us healthier, these industrial oils may have done the opposite. They are highly processed, unstable under heat, and prone to oxidation, which can lead to inflammation in the body. Some studies suggest that excessive consumption of these oils may contribute to the very diseases they were supposed to prevent. Meanwhile, the pharmaceutical industry benefited. As cholesterol levels became a central focus, statin drugs became some of the most prescribed medications in history. Food companies profited from the boom in low-fat, processed products. And the cycle continued, because when a system becomes this profitable, changing course is not easy. Now, was all of this a deliberate conspiracy to make people sick? Not necessarily. But there was, and still is, a major financial interest in keeping this narrative alive. The food industry funds research. Pharmaceutical companies influence health guidelines. Government agencies, relying on outdated advice, are slow to correct mistakes. And in the middle of it all, the public is left confused, unsure of what to believe, trapped in a cycle of processed foods and prescription drugs. And here's the reality: they're not going to fix this for us. So what do? We take control of our own health. Start questioning the mainstream advice. Look at the history of food and nutrition, not just the last 50 years of industry-backed science. Eat real whole foods. Because the longer we keep following a food system built on corporate interests instead of human health, the sicker we get. It's time to wake up. It's time to take back our health. And most importantly, it's time to stop believing the lies. But listen, this isn't just speculation. This isn't just another internet theory. The truth about vegetable oils and animal fats isn't some hidden secret locked away in classified documents. The information is out there. The research exists. The problem? Most people never see it, because it doesn't make it into the headlines, the school textbooks, or the dietary guidelines. That's exactly why we've put together an in-depth paper, an eye-opening path to the truth, backed by real research, historical records, and investigative reports. This isn't just opinion. This is fact. The flawed science that pushed vegetable oils into our diets? It's in there. The corrupt connections between food companies, health organizations, and pharmaceutical giants. It's in there. The historical shift that led us to abandon real food in favor of chemically processed oils? That's in there too. This isn't about fearmongering. This is about breaking free from the deception we've been fed for decades. And the best part? You don't have to take my word for it. We're making this paper available as a free PDF download, so you can see the evidence for yourself. The details are in the description below. Read it, share it, and most importantly, use it to make informed choices about your health. Because if there's one thing we've learned from all of this, it's that we can't rely on the system to fix itself. But we can educate ourselves. We can take control. And that's how real change happens.